everyone, welcome to my yoga class. We are currently in lockdown in Spain, so this means I can't teach yoga at the moment to my regular students. But some of them have asked me to do an online practice, and so this is a first for me. I'm a little bit anxious, but here we go with my regular yogis here, Alain and Julia. And I prepared specifically a practice to cope with anxiety and to cope with stress and worries. So it's a basic hatha class, and this should be accessible for many people out there with a normal physical condition. So we start in Sukhasana. What does this mean? Sukhasana is easy pose. It's also called cobbler's pose, which is cross-legged. So you sit with your legs in a cross-legged position. What does this mean? That your legs cross at the shins, and for some this is not so easy. Actually, this is called Sukhasana, which means easy pose, but it's not so easy, especially if you're a little bit stiff in the hips or in the knees. So how can you resolve this? You take a cushion and you place it underneath your buttocks, so your hips are a little bit higher than your knees, so you feel automatically the knees drop down more. For me, this is not enough. I even take another posture, which is called Balasana, which involves one foot placed against the inner thigh and the other foot right in front of it. So the heel of the right foot is touching the top of the left foot. Okay, so if you found your comfortable position, you can close your eyes, place your hands on your thighs or on the knees, and start breathing through the nose. You don't change your breath. You take your normal, natural breath and you start following it with your mind. Yoga is the union of the mind with the body, and we use the breath as an anchor. So every time you feel your mind wandering off, thoughts coming in and out, don't cling to them. Don't chase after your thoughts, don't engage with them. Just come back to your natural breath. So we do at least 5 of these beautiful breaths where you use the in-breath to lift up through the torso, through the spine. Make yourself a little bit taller. And exhale and ease into the pose. And again, inhale, lifting up, opening the chest. Exhale down. And you might feel some of the tension of anxiety is crept into the shoulders, which is the case with many people. So you can use some shoulder rolls maybe to ease up the shoulders. Bring the shoulders to the front and up while you inhale, and back and down while you exhale. And you slow down the breath while you're entering your temple, your body. And the next 20 minutes or so is your practice. We're going to take it very slow. Bring the hands together in front of the heart. This is called Anjali Mudra or Namaste Mudra. And on the next inhalation, you can open the eyes. We're going to lift the arms up, looking at the thumbs. Exhale, bring both hands down in front of the heart. Inhale, stretching up. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Try to start every different movement with the breath. So first the breath, then the movement down. And then the last time, inhale up. Exhaling, bringing the arms to the sides. Extending the arms to both sides, inhaling up again, exhaling down, inhale up. Each time try to lift a little bit higher, flattening the belly, creating space. And then the last time, the right arm stays there, left arm goes down onto the mat. Bring the right arm all the way over to the other side, looking up from on the upper arm or under the armpits. Coming up on the inhalation, exhaling down to the other side. If it's too much for your neck to look up, you can always look straight ahead, of course. Exhaling down. Pushing up while you inhale, and try to go a little bit deeper this time. So maybe your elbow can reach the floor. And here we go. On the exhale, bring the arms back down. We're going to remove the cushion, if you had one, and extend the legs to the front. Shake your legs out. And maybe give your knees a little massage. We're going to be very gentle on our on our joints and muscles, because well, I for one haven't done yoga in a while, so we're going to cross-legged, go back in the cross-legged position, but change the legs. So my left foot is now in the front of the right foot. And this time we're going to bring the arms to the side, inhale deeply. And we're going to bring the right wrist against the left knee and the left hand behind you. And this time we're going to stay in this twist, 3 or 4 to 5 breaths. Inhale deeply, lifting up all the way to the crown of the head. Exhaling, go deeper in the twist. So every time you inhale, you try to extend up, and exhale, go deeper into the twist. One more breath. Come back to the front. Lifting up. Always first create space between the vertebrae and then move to the other side. Try to look over the right shoulder as far as you can. And come back to center, lifting up. And come back in Anjali Mudra. We're going to do a cat-cow session or sequence, a seated version. What does this mean? We're going to use the hands as leverage. We place the hands in front of the kneecaps, and we start with cow pose, which means we're going to arch the back and inhale deeply, opening, expanding the chest to the front and to the sides, and lifting the head, dropping the head all the way to the back. So here we go. Inhale, arch the back, dropping the head. Then you bring the hands to the back of the knee and exhale, round the spine, bringing the chin to the chest. Again, inhale, pushing against the knee, using your hands as leverage. Exhaling, rounding the spine, rounding the shoulders, chin to chest. Let's do 3 more. Inhale deeply, shoulders down. Exhaling, rounding the spine, sucking the belly in, pulling the belly button towards the spine and up. It's like you want to fit in your favorite jeans and you need that extra little push to engage your core muscles there. I think one more time. Oh, we have company. Typical for a cat pose. And come back to center. Okay, we bring the hands to the back on the floor, stretching out those legs one more time. Shake them out. And then we bring the legs to the side, coming up all fours. This is tabletop pose or table pose. It's a perfect square pose where your wrists are stacked right beneath the shoulders and the knees are stacked right beneath the hips. In Sanskrit it's called Balasana, barman pose, which I think is very fitting because you want to have a flat surface. Your spine is completely flat, so you could place some drinks on top of that. Okay, we're going to go for another series of cat-cows, this time the more well-known ones. So here we go. Again, in cow pose, we're going to lift the tailbone, arch the spine, and looking up to the ceiling. Exhaling, dropping the tailbone to the mat, rounding the spine, chin to chest. to cow pose. Take it very slow and try to synchronize your breath with your movement. Always starting with the breath, followed by the movement. And the whole idea is to calm your central nervous system, so you want to use your breath to slow yourself down. Okay, come back to neutral. We're going to arch the back, the spine, sideways. So you bring the left side out of the buttocks and looking at your own left side of the hips. And I'm going to switch to the other side. Inhale to the front. Exhale, arching the spine. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And the last one. Inhale. Exhale. Slowly we're going to move down with our buttocks on the heels in Vajrasana. Okay, we're going to prepare ourselves for some downward facing dogs. And I always like to warm up the joints in the wrists. Very intricate system of joints there. You don't want to mess with your wrists because they're going to bear a lot of weight in downward facing dog. So we do some flamenco hands. Very fitting while we're in Andalucía. And then we do some flexing and stretching. Okay, here we go. We stretch out the hands forward into Balasana, child pose. So you want to draw in the extra millimeters on your mat. You really extend your hands to the maximum, separate the fingers, middle finger pointing to the front. Create space between the vertebrae and then glue your hands on the mat where they are. Now you come up on the knees, tuck the toes under, and on the next exhalation you push yourself up into downward facing dog. Don't make it static, immediately start walking the dog, pushing the left heel into the mat and then the right heel. This is called walking the dog. It's just to lubricate all those little joints in the ankles. So the most important part in downward facing dog is your back. You want to have a straight back from the tips of the fingers to the tailbone. If you want to, or if you have to micro bend the knees, please do, but please don't round the spine. Try to make one straight line. Gently bring the knees back to the mat and come back into Vajrasana. Again, we're going to ease up the tension in the joints here, in the wrists, before we go to the next sequence. And again, Balasana, drawing in the extra millimeter. Coming up on the knees, tuck the toes under, exhale, downward facing dog. We lift up the right leg, Ekapada. This is the one-legged dog. We're going to bend that right knee and bring it all the way to the front to touch the left elbow. Breathing out, breathing in, up goes the leg, breathing out, touch your nose. Breathing in, up, breathing out, touch the right elbow. Breathing in, bend the right leg and bring the foot all the way to the outside of the right hand. Okay, slowly we lower the left knee on the mat, pressing the right knee into the right shoulder. You can lower the toes of the left leg here. Keep pressing that knee into the shoulder as you raise up that left hand all the way to the ceiling. Looking up at your thumb, or if it makes you dizzy, you can look straight ahead, or even down at your right hand here. 3 deep breaths. And on the next exhalation, lower your hand. Tuck the toes of the back leg under and sweep the right leg back. So we're in plank. 3 breaths here while you tense up every body muscle, especially in the legs. Activate your core muscles. And then slowly lower the knees down. Coming into Balasana, a very relaxed one, where you bring the crown of the head very close to your knees, bring the arms to the back, holding your own ankles. At least 5 deep breaths here. And then on the next inhalation, you bring your hands again to the front, stretching out those arms, gluing the hands to the mat, coming up on the knees, tucking the toes under, and on the exhalation, push yourself into downward facing dog again, lifting immediately that left leg. Ekapala Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, whole mouthful. On the exhalation, left knee to right elbow. Inhalation up, exhalation, left knee to the nose. And the last one to your left elbow. Inhale up, bend the knee and bring that foot all the way to the outside of the left hand. Lower the right knee this time. Keep pressing that left knee into the left shoulder. Toes are flat on the mat. Raising up the right arm this time. Looking up at your thumb. 3 breaths. Slowly on the exhalation, lower that hand back, tuck the toes under, and sweep that left foot back while you're in plank. Okay, we're going to go down, but in a different way. First the knees, arch the back, chest down, chin down, my cushion is in the way, and we're up in a baby cobra. Push yourself up again, be careful for your lower back, into Vajrasana. We're almost there. One more thing, one more asana. One more time, we're stretching out into Balasana, hands to the front, coming up on the exhale into another downward facing dog. Lifting the right leg up a little bit, bring that knee all the way to the front. Knee is touching the right thumb. Looking over your left shoulder. Lowering the left knee and walk the back leg back as far as possible so your hips are lowering towards the mat. Now you decide your angle of the front knee. Some people are very flexible. They bring the lower leg all the way out parallel to the short end of the mat. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those. I kind of keep my angle more narrow. Whatever you do, protect that front knee. Don't go overboard. And how can you protect the front knee? By flexing the toes of the foot on the same leg. Okay, we're going to go on the fingertips, stretching out, looking up, opening the chest here. Exhale, coming down over that front knee. Now you may want to drop your forehead to the floor, the mat. If it's all too far for you, you just take a little cushion or a big cushion and you prop yourself up here. 5 deep breaths at least. On the next inhalation, slowly come back up on the fingertips. Walk the fingertips of hands back to your knee. Tuck the toes of the back leg under and come back into a downward facing dog. This time, yes, walk the dog a little bit to get rid of some of the tension in the knee. And then we lift the left knee up, bringing it all the way to the front, next to your left hand, looking over the right shoulder, lowering that knee, walking the back leg further back. And again, we come up on the fingertips. Don't just arch from the lower back. Open the chest. Shoulders are low, don't sink into the shoulders. And then exhale, surrender over that left knee. 5 deep breaths. The next inhalation, come up again. Walk back towards that knee. And we're going to tuck the toes under of the back leg, coming back into thunderbolt pose. That last asana posture, this is called the pigeon pose or swan pose, is very, very good if you're suffering from sciatic pains. This will relieve your pain almost instantly. For some people, that is. I think Alan was really helped by it. Yes, we're going to scoop to the side with our buttocks. Bring the legs to the front again. Bring your feet mat width apart. Your hands go to the back. And we're just going to do a few windshield wipers. And go very slow. Loosening up the hips again and the knees. And then we are ready for our final posture, which is Shavasana. Now you can do a normal Shavasana, corpse pose, where you lie on your back and you have your legs slightly separated and your hands beside your arms beside your body. But I would like to suggest one different version. You can use a big bolster or one of these. Maybe you have one of these on your bed. They're actually called a Dutch wife. From the times that the sailors used one of these to wedge themselves in their bunk beds in stormy nights on their boats. And don't ask me why they call them Dutch wives. We must have had a very bad reputation then.
I say nothing.
But we're not married, so the glove fits, it doesn't fit me. Anyway, you place the bolster against your sacrum, and then you slowly, slowly lower yourself over that bolster. And such a nice feeling of opening the chest and the heart area. So you can choose having the legs stretched out to the front like this, or maybe you want to open up those hips while you're in Shavasana. And this is a butterfly or Balasana, where you place the soles of the feet, press them into each other. So the palms of your hands are facing up. And in Shavasana, the most important thing, of course, is to relax completely. And it's very difficult to relax if you're not nicely warm dressed. So you put on your socks again, put on a sweater, use a little blanket, use an eye mask if you want to, an iPad, and you can even use a little bit of music to soothe you and calm you. Okay, so this is my advice for every yoga session is never ever skip Shavasana. It's probably the most important asana we have. Okay, so while my yogis are on their way in full relaxation, I would like to thank you for joining me on my first yoga video, and I hope you enjoy it. And for everybody out there in lockdown or in quarantine, stay happy, stay healthy, and especially stay home. Thank you so much. Namaste.